Hey guys, it's Matt with Bardic Inspiration, and I've got a quick one here for you today. I just recently finished painting an Aasimar Paladin miniature that I'm really excited to play in a new D&D campaign. So I'm going to take you through the steps of how I got from nothing to a finished product. So starting out, I did what I normally do when I contrast paint, and I took a black undercoat and dry brushed gray and then a little bit of white. And then I decided I wanted to punch up some of those highlights. So using some bleached skull from the army painter, I decided to edge highlight the entire miniature, or at least some of the areas that I wanted to stick out a little bit more with bleached skull. So for the actual base coat of the miniature, I decided to mix a couple paints together. I used Stormholst Silver and Apothecary White, which is a contrast paint. I wanted to see how this would look on a finished miniature, combining a non-contrast metallic paint with a contrast paint. I don't necessarily know if I'll use the technique again, but I definitely did not hate the results. Something you definitely don't want to do is drop your miniature while you're painting it, especially on camera, so whatever you do, don't keep that in the video. Here's that finished base coat of that white metallic color that I was looking for. So now we're moving on to the cloth sections using this Aasimar blue contrast paint. I wanted to test out this color scheme because I begrudgingly said yes to painting my brother's entire Warhammer army. Here's the finished base coat of the Aasimar blue. Moving on to some accessories, I'm using Golem and Flesh. It's another contrast paint, and that's for a lot of these leather bits, all the straps across the miniature, and really anywhere else on the miniature that I thought I needed to break up the colors. Now onto the gold bits of the miniature. I'm using Cursed Blade, which is from Army Painter, and I really love the muted golden texture and look that this paint gives you right out of the pot. I put it over all of these accent bits because, again, I just love the way this looks. Moving on to shading the miniature, I'm using Seraphim Sepia and Druchii Violet. I know that with contrast paints you don't necessarily need to shade, but I thought there were some areas that I could bump up the contrast. Pun intended. So after the shading was done, I went back to fix any places on the miniature that I had messed up, and more importantly to punch up highlights on the metal, and more specifically with his robes, because I wanted them to stand out on the miniature, and I really like the way that it ended up. So let's take a look at the finished product on my new display wheel. So again, I really loved the way the robes ended up looking. I think that the extra highlights at the end really helped out this model, but I have heard that thinning down your contrast paints can actually help you get more of that look on a single pass. So the next time I use these contrast paints, I am absolutely trying that. Sometimes out of the pot they can be a little too thick, which I think definitely was the case on the first run with this model. But even if you make choices that you're not happy with, the great thing about miniature painting is that you can go back and fix it or change it or do something to it until you like the finished product. So nothing technically new here on this miniature, but I'm applying a lot of the things that I've learned over the past year or so. And just to remind you guys that it's so easy to create something that you can be proud of and get that sweet validation that warms my icy heart. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Maybe there's a technique that you want me to try or a specific miniature that you'd like me to paint. I'd love to hear you guys' input, but as always, keep painting and take care.